Hey, how's it going, guys? I want to talk about, the lady that got killed by our ICE agents in Minnesota yesterday or the day before. It was one of them. Um, here's what I want to say about it. For some reason, people have been hypnotized to get extremely and to be completely comfortable, overly comfortable with assaulting law enforcement officers. Growing up, I avoided law enforcement. I avoided cops. I avoided anybody with a badge. I didn't want to deal with them. I didn't want to be next to them. I didn't want to talk to them. I just wanted to avoid them. Any contact was any time I didn't interact with them was a good day, right? And it's because there was no reason to. And growing up the way I grew up, where I did a lot of hood rat stuff, no interaction was good interaction, right? and but here's one thing that myself and every other person in my neighborhood growing up, this is the one thing we all understood. Do not mess with the cops. Don't mess with the cops. You don't assault a cop, you don't kill a cop, you don't try to beat up a cop, you avoid them. And it's not out of fear. It's more out of the fact that there's a line of respect, but also understanding that law enforcement has permission to kill you. You understand? Like they have sanctioned permission to kill you. And if you give them a justifiable reason, they can do it. And it's essentially going to be protected every single time. It's unlike me and you, right? If we get into an altercation and something happens and I end up killing you, that's going to be heavily, heavily investigated. Because although we have our Second Amendment right and we have the right to self-defense, what we don't have is we don't have a blanket permission to kill each other. And so it's going to get heavily investigated. It's most likely going to get prosecuted. It's most likely going to go in front of a jury or a grand jury. And something's going to happen to where, I'm going to be put through the ringer. Now, does our government put on a show that that's what happens to our law enforcement officers? They do. But let's be honest. When government investigates itself, which is what happens, right? Internal affairs is the police department. it's a department within the police department. And so when you have the agency investigating itself, what do you expect is going to happen? And so what I've witnessed over the past, just whenever Trump's in power or Republicans in power, right? In general, but mostly Trump, President Trump. For some reason, people are so hypnotized, and I've talked about this in the past. I've talked about how people legitimately are under a state of trance where they hear keywords and it triggers them to take an action. I was watching Avengers Endgame or Infinity War, and then we watched the Endgame, right? And there's a part in the movie where the new black Captain America, he goes and sees the black guy, kind of his mentor, but he was like the black version of Captain America before Captain America. And anyways, he takes the guy that's supposed to be the new Falcon there to train. He gets invited to the White House for dinner. He takes that black guy with him. And then they're all sitting listening to the president talk. And then a song plays over the loudspeaker in the room. And the black guy that he took as a guest the super soldier, he goes in a state of trance and attempts to kill the president. He takes a gun, shoots at the president. And he does this with no instinct that he's doing it. Like, he doesn't know what he's doing. It's completely out of his hands. His brain, something about the music, it was a trigger, and his brain just flipped off and it went into reactionary mode, right? I firmly believe, guys, I firmly believe that there is a large percentage of our population that lives in a constant state of trance, where they hear certain things that trigger them, and it causes them to snap, and they lose all consciousness, and they go into that state where all they are is just a physical body doing something, but they don't know what they're doing. They lose control. I used to think back in the day that, because I've been to a couple of those shows with hypnotists, and I used to believe that shit was fake as hell, right? Because I would sit there and the guy would be like, okay, we're going to count down from 10, and I need you to think about a place, somewhere over here. And on the count of 10, I'm going to snap my finger. And I would see people, and I would try to do it, and I would be like, I don't get it. Because, I don't know, it just didn't work on me. They tried a couple of times, just never worked on me. But I would see these people, and some people that I knew, and I was like, homeboy would never fall into that. Like, he wouldn't just participate with that. But it just looks fake. It looks fake. But while they're going through this process, I'm looking at these people that I know, and even though they're awake and conscious, they're not there. Literally, they're barking, and I'm looking at their eyes, and I'm like, what the fuck? I don't know how. And I'm not going to pretend like I know how, right? I've seen enough conspiracy videos and I would say just podcasts talking about how things like that come across, MK Ultra and a lot of government programs where they experimented with it with LSD and, blinking lights and the pattern of the blinking lights. I don't know, man. But what I do know is I do believe this to be true. 99.9%. As close to 100% as one can get. I do believe this to be true, that there is a large percentage of our population that lives in a constant trance. Something either comes through their airwaves, their phone, the TV, maybe just a frequency shift. I don't know, man. I don't know. But something happens to them. And just like zombies, they lose consciousness of who they are. That disappears, and the program them just goes into reactionary mode, which is what they've been subconsciously trained to do. And it's just like, The Walking Dead. You hear a noise and it's like, "Argh." But in this case, because they're in living form, it's like, protesting and saying shit that I don't even know if they believe, guys. Because I do believe that these people are hypnotized. And I don't know how you unhypnotize. I don't know how you break that spell on them. And I don't know why that doesn't work on me and why that doesn't work on certain people. But from what I understand, it has to do something with the toughness of your mind. Like, you've been conditioned to be mentally strong, and there's just a large percentage of people who are mentally weak. You understand? And it has something to do with your ability to control your mind. And I guess there's a lot of people that don't have full control of it, full faculty of it, because they never exercise their brain. They never exercise their mind. They never exercise their consciousness. They are just people who have been conditioned to believe any and everything that they're told. They never ask why. They're born Catholic, Christian, Muslim, Judah or Judea, and they never ask, why am I this religion? You know, they were born and their family voted Democrat, so they voted Democrat, or they were born and their family voted Republican, so now they vote Republican. But they never asked themselves, why? Why am I a Republican? Why am I a Catholic? Why am I a Christian? Why am I an Islamist? Why am I a Jew? You understand? Like, they don't ever question who they are, and they've never done a deep dive into what they believe and why they believe it. They've just been programmed and conditioned to be who they are, and they've just fallen in line. And I can say for the longest time, that was me. I mean, I was of that stature. I was that person as well. But somewhere along the way, I was like, who am I? What do I believe? Like, what do I really believe, right? And I think the ability to question all my thoughts, what I believe to be correct, what I believe to be true, and then investigate for myself into every belief that I had, and then evaluate it and just be like, wow, I don't believe in that. I thought I did. You understand? I think that ability to take control of my own mind, my own thoughts, I think that's what shored up my ability to not be manipulated by any outside source. And I don't think most people have ever done that. I don't think most people have ever done an audit of what they believe, what they think, why they believe it. I think most people just fall in line with what they've been told, and they repeat it. Critical thinking is not something that's taught in school anymore. And I don't know if it ever was. What's taught in school is the ability to remember and repeat. And every day let me change that, because that's a lie. As frequently as I can, I challenge my kids. Every day they go to school and they come home and we're eating dinner at the table. I'm like, guys, what did you learn today? That is something I do. What did you learn today? Oh, we learned about dinosaurs. What about dinosaurs? Well, they were, around billions of years ago. I was like, okay. And I was like, well, what do you believe about that? Like, do you think that's true? Like, I challenge them, and and then I give them my own opinion. I'm like, well, to be honest, I think the whole dinosaur thing is full of shit. But I explain myself why. I just don't talk shit about it. I explain myself, and I say why I think the concept of all the dinosaurs and existing billions of years ago is full of shit. And then I go into explain how they came up with the billions of years ago idea, which is through carbon testing, right? How I've explained how that's also full of shit. And that, I can go into it later on in another video, but if you ever looked into the whole idea of carbon testing and all that, and the bones that they find from dinosaurs billions of years ago, you're going to go down a deep rabbit hole, and you're going to come out across sounding just like me, where you're like, it's all full of shit. It's all junk. It's all junk science. It's like the landing on the moon, right? I used to believe like, yeah, we landed on the moon. Ho, America. Don't get me wrong. I am America first, man. I will die for this country because my kids live in this country. But looking back and reevaluating all the events that have happened, the moon landing's as fake as fucking this girl's tits I used to sleep with. It's all fake, guys. A lot of things are fake, but I was hypnotized and convinced to believe otherwise. This lady, for some reason, she was convinced that messing with law enforcement and attacking them and berating them, in her mind, it was all just a game. It was like playing Grand Theft Auto, but in real life. She thought that, and not just her, but a percentage of people, a lot of people right now, they have been hypnotized to believe that they can just respawn. Well, if something happens, I'll just respawn. But this is real life, guys. And when you're messing with law enforcement, understand that they have sanction to kill you. And you're not going to find any bigger hater of law enforcement than me. Because for the most part, I believe most police departments need to be abolished. I believe that most neighborhoods need to be self-patrolled by the people who live in that neighborhood. I think most police officers are trash. I do. I think there's a few good ones, but they get overshadowed by all the trash. I believe that police in general are not there to protect you. They're there to seek ways to steal money from you. They're there to find ways to give you a citation or find a way to arrest you and get you into the prison system. You may agree or disagree with me. I don't care. I'm telling you what I believe. And this didn't come lightly. This isn't something that I just one day woke up and this is what I believe. That's not how I came to this conclusion. But I can believe all that and still understand and tell you that people have gotten way too comfortable putting their hands on law enforcement. One day, one of my kids is going to end up in law enforcement. And I assure you, if you try to ram your car, which is what this lady did. She was playing Grand Theft Auto and she thought, I'm going to get away. Like a fucking retard. She thought, he'll just bump him out the way 5 feet and I'm going to get away. Like, fucking, you understand the state of the trance you have to be in to believe this is a fucking video game? How deep in your head you have to be to sincerely believe that you can do these things. And it's just going to be like a video game. There's going to be no repercussions. There's going to be no action. You have to be of weak mind, guys, because this lady sincerely thought it was a game. And she thought she can respawn. And she probably was able to do it for a long time because from my understanding, this wasn't her first encounter. One day, one of my kids are going to end up in law enforcement. I understand that. And if they are doing their job, a lawful job, a job that is, and they are following people's civil rights, and they are abiding by the Constitution. And because of that, some lady who's in a trance attempts to run them over. I don't care if she's in a trance, guys. He needs to protect himself. I need that boy to come home. I need that boy to come home to his wife and to his future wife and his future kids. Because that lady's life is not worth more than my baby's life. And it sucks for her that she's dead, but it was her fault and she deserved it. Like a fucking retard. I don't care if she was hypnotized or not, but like a retard. She made a choice. And she needs to live with that choice. Well, she can't live with it because she's dead. That's her problem. That's her wife's problem. They have to live with that choice. They have to live with the consequences of the choice that they made. This is what accountability looks like. I've seen that video multiple times from multiple angles. And if I was that cop, I'd have shot her ass too. And to be honest, I think more of that needs to start happening. I really do. And one more time, guys, I don't think you all understand how anti-cop I am, how anti-law enforcement I am, how I believe that most of it needs to be abolished. But I think this needs to become a more frequent event with people that are assaulting our law enforcement for actually following lawful orders, and where they are doing their job. They are cleaning up our country of trash people, and they are getting them out. And they are doing that for us. All these trash people. And when I say trash, I'm not just talking about Somalians. I'm talking about all of them. I don't care if they're from the EU. I don't want them here. They don't belong here. They come in here. They bring their whack-ass culture. They find a way to cheat our system. I end up working to support foreigners. And then they bring their disgusting culture here and their disgusting way of life and their bad habits. And then they talk down upon us. They look down upon us as idiots and retards, as they milk our system dry, as they take my money from my pocket. And are there a couple, and I know some, if anybody listens to this, and there's going to be some retards out there that's like, well, there's some good ones. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck if there's any good ones. You understand? I don't care. Because out of 10, one will be good. I am not willing to take 9 shit people for one fucking good one. I am not. Fuck all of them. I am not going to bring in 8 or 9 shit people because there might be one good one. Fuck that. Now, if there were 9 good people and 1 shit person, I could run with that. Because then we can get rid of that shit person later on. But it's the opposite. It's inverted. And so, no, I don't have empathy for these people. I don't care. I don't care about these people. I care about me. I care about my kids. I care about my wife. I care about my family and my own little group of friends, which I don't have very many of, on purpose. That's what I care about. I care about my state, my country. I don't care about them. Too many people have gotten way too comfortable putting hands on our law enforcement officers. Way too comfortable. And the truth is, I think a lot of these people need to get their face smashed in. And I think, unfortunately, a lot more of this needs to probably happen because people have to regain a level of respect and a level of fear. And I'm not talking about where people are terrified. No, it's just a level of, hey, you're stepping over the line. There's one thing to protest, but then you're doing this. It's one thing to it's one thing to tell an officer to fuck off, which I've done many of times. And it's another to purposely get in their face with a fucking bullhorn, fractions of an inch from their face, and scream at them, spit at them, fuck with them, Who the fuck are these people to think they can do that to an officer, let alone just any person? You get in my fucking face with a bullhorn and you're fucking right here and screaming at me. I'm going to punch you. I'm going to hurt you. I don't care what gender you think you are, what gender you were born, and what gender you changed it to. I'm going to fucking punch you. And if I have a gun, there's a good chance you're going to get shot. Do you understand? It is not the job of law enforcement to put up with that stupid shit. It is nobody's job. Nobody gets paid to deal with that, guys. There's not enough money to deal with that. Never mind. There is money that can be paid to deal with that. Yeah. But that's not our law enforcement. They don't get paid to deal with that. Normies like you and I don't get paid to deal with that. Between people losing their damn mind and people living under a state of hypnosis in that constant trance, it's just like my iPhone right now, right? My iPhone lives in a constant state of trance. And it waits for a keyword. You understand? It waits for a keyword. What's that keyword? Hey Siri. Right? You see? That's how these people's mind is programmed. Their mind is programmed to wait for certain keywords, to hear certain keywords. And it's evil. Whoever, it's not whoever. We all know who is responsible for and who's capable of doing such things. But that's where we're at. And the trick is we got to find a way to break that connection. You understand? Usually, when you go to a show where they have a hypnotist, there's a keyword or there's an action that breaks it. And it breaks it permanently. We need to make it a mission to find what it is to break those connections. There's a way to break that connection, to break that cycle of hypnosis, of trance. Excuse me. You want to talk? Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, we have to find a way to figure out what the action or the words are that can deprogram these people. Because the way that they were programmed, there's going to be a way to deprogram. And that's something that our government is going to have to figure out. Because they're the ones that did it. They're the ones that did it in participation with the state media. And with these algorithms and these social media companies. So they're the only ones that can do it. All of them are complicit, our intelligence agencies. And so it's going to take getting full control of all these agencies, all these media networks and social media networks and getting them back in line. It's not easy, guys. So I've talked about that, right? I just want to bring up Venezuela real fast. Essentially, America conquered Venezuela. And we were able to do it in under 3 hours. And no Americans were lost. And no major injuries. Right? What I want to say about that is, first of all, there's a lot going on with Venezuela that most people don't know about. And I'm not going to pretend to know everything, but I have been able to find out a lot. And what I am going to say is how amazing is our military. How amazing is our country to be able to completely take over another country, especially one as big and well-armed as Venezuela, in under 3 hours and no casualties. I don't know if there's ever been a bigger military event in history, where one country was able to exercise the amount of strength that it had. I just don't. I've read up on, through school and everything growing up, and even in my present day, I'm very curious and I like looking into a lot of things. And I can't find one single time where one country was able to ever conquer another country in the span of less than 3 hours and have no casualties, no major injuries. The implications are so big here that it supersedes Venezuela. It goes past Venezuela. The world, the entire world, all our adversaries and all of our so-called friends that aren't our friends, they saw firsthand what our military can do when unleashed. The Iran thing was a huge thing where we were able to just fly in under all this advanced radar, deep into the mountains, and just blow their freaking nuclear reactors up and then leave and throw the deuce on the way out and then brag about it a couple hours later. That was one thing. But this, guys, where we were able to conquer a country in under 3 hours and nobody died, this will forever be in the history books. This will be forever remembered. You are living under historic times. And this sent a cannon shot, not just a shot, but a cannon shot to every one of our adversaries and to every one of our so-called friends. And this put them all on notice that you all forgot who the fuck we were. That you all got way too comfortable, just like these freaks fucking with law enforcement. You all got way too comfortable running your fucking mouths about America. You all got way too comfortable thinking y'all were tougher and bigger and badder. These two actions between Iran and Venezuela has put the world on notice that you all ain't shit. We are the alpha. America's the alpha. We will do what we want when we want. And if we don't do it, it's only because we don't want to do it. There's no country alive, guys. And there's no group of countries alive that can fuck with us. And y'all better take deep pride in that, because that is our brothers, our sisters, our cousins, our mothers, our fathers, our uncles, our grandfathers. Those are the people who have served and who are currently serving our kids. There's no country that can fuck with us. They want to talk about China and this. Nah, bro. Can't fuck with us. They can't touch us. They need the nuclear weapons. We don't need nuclear weapons because we can just conquer you in under 3 hours. You understand? This put Mexico on notice. The Colombian president came out yesterday and he's like, oh, I called Trump and I I justified myself, and while I'm talking all this shit, and I asked for a meeting. This is a guy who's been running his fucking mouth. His fucking mouth. He's been running his mouth. And he saw what was going to happen to him. He was next. And now he's like, no, I talked to Mr. Trump. I talked to Mr. Trump. We gonna create a relationship. We're gonna talk. I explained myself and we talk. What a little bitch. What a little bitch. There's nothing I hate more than a fucking little bitch. A fucking coward. I don't go running my mouth, guys. I don't. When I go somewhere, I don't go flexing my dick everywhere, trying to swing it and slap every person's face with it. I don't. I show respect. I show respect to everybody. And the only time I ever get in an altercation or fight is when absolutely pushed. But when I get there, I don't back down. I take it. No matter how big they are, I take it. And I take the pain. And my head is all fucked up. I can never have a bald head. If I ever went bald and you saw my head, you would throw it. It's disgusting, the top of my head, from being punched so damn much. But you know what, guys? When it gets there, I take it. I take the pain, I take the punishment, and I stand by myself. I don't cower down. And yeah, I've been hurt. I've been hurt. There's been times I've been hurt really bad. But you know what happens when you don't back down? You establish a level of respect. You establish a level of fear. Because even when you don't win, if you're able to hurt that person enough, they will think twice before trying to fight you again. Even if they won. Even if they got the knockout. They will still, before fucking with you again, if you are able to hurt them enough and install enough pain before you go down, they will reevaluate fucking with you in the future. Especially if you can get up and be like, all right, you got me. You want to go round 2? You understand? Respect and fear are necessary. But when you run your fucking mouth like a chihuahua, and then somebody steps in your way, and you're like, blah, 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 like a little bitch, you know what you did? You showed that you are a coward. You showed that you weren't shit from the get-go, and you were just fucking yakking, trying to flick your dick everywhere, trying to let it swing and slap people's faces. You are a fucking poser. That's what the word is. You were a poser. You were a simp. You were a beta. And the only thing you know how to do is not take action, but to run your fucking mouth. And then when the boots gotta hit the ground, you run away. And so I don't know if most people understand the importance of what happened in Venezuela. And it started with Iran. I don't think people realize the importance of those two actions. They have no clue because they're not able to think past Trump. Everything is Trump, Trump, Trump. They've been hypnotized whenever they hear the name Trump or ICE. They've been hypnotized to just... What we are seeing is a real life shift. And people, and just to try to finish this off, because one more time, I don't know how the fuck I could talk so long. What we are seeing in real life, in real time, is we are seeing Will Smith get up, walk on stage, slap the shit out of Chris Rock, and say, "Keep my wife's name out your motherfucking mouth." Fix his coat, walk back to his chair, sit down, and be like, That's what we are seeing, guys. We are seeing America walk to the road on the stage, bitch slap it, fix our coat, turn around, just, calmly, like nothing happened, walk back to our chair and be like, we are witnessing in real time, and the world does not know what to do with it because they have not seen this America in millennium. And they are scared and they are terrified because they have been buying off our politicians for a century, if not longer. And our military in our country was turned over to these globalists. And for the first time, our military is aimed right at them. And they are terrified. And the truth is, and I said this a while back, people are just going to start disappearing. You're going to get a sense of normalcy again because people are just going to disappear. Anyways, guys, that's really kind of all I had to say today. We are living under historic times, and I think it's amazing. And if you know these people, and I know a person, he's a good person, my wife's brother-in-law. But it's the same thing. Whenever he hears a trigger word, he turns into this frothing zombie where he just can't think. And I know you know somebody that's like that. And I don't think it's their fault. So try not to hate them. Because they have been hypnotized. They are hypnotized. And just like your phone, where it's constantly waiting for a keyword, that's the way their brain is programmed. I don't know how you deprogram them. I don't know what keywords or actions or combination of things need to happen in order for them to be deprogrammed. But there is a way. There's always a way. You understand? Because people need to be deprogrammed. So when these systems are created to program people, they do have ways to deprogram them. I don't know what it is. If anybody wants to look into it and try to find out what combination or what series of words or actions or light patterns need to be done. But there is a way. And I don't know what it is. I'm not going to pretend to know what it is. But there's a lot of smart people out there, and I'm sure that somebody will figure it out. I just don't think most people have really. I think most people just think it's people being stupid. And yeah, there's some of that. But I still hold firm that people are hypnotized. A lot of what we're seeing is just people being reactionary to a trigger word or a trigger event or a trigger frequency or something that's triggering their brain to switch from conscious to unconscious, and then it just goes into reactionary. So that's what I think, guys. Y'all are the smart ones. There's I don't claim to be the Mr. Know-it-all of everything. I tell you what I know based off of what I've learned, and that took me a long time to get there and just a lot of observation. One more time, it's been a week since we took Venezuela. I just wanted to see what happened. What was the point of coming out and talking about it that day or the next day and be like, oh, we conquered. No, you got to let things play out, man. You got to get the picture. You got to see the full picture. And yeah, so thank you for your time. I have nothing left to say today. If I do, I'll make another video. But this is what I have to say. And I think I've said all of it. And I do appreciate your time if anybody watched this. If not, it's quite all right because, like I said in the past, this is more for me because I don't really have the opportunity to speak to people who are curious like myself. And this is my way of talking to myself to get the words out of my system without looking crazy. Thank you, guys. Peace.